even though you might not know who your biological parents are. But if you know who you are by getting to know who you are, it will align, everything will align itself. But we first have to master ourselves, and that's a challenge. We don't necessarily have to go outside of ourselves to look for any other energy because it begins with ourselves. And like I was telling you about the law of attraction, attracting my father to me is because that's what I wanted passionately. That's what I was thinking about morning, noon, and night. That's what I made a vision board for.
I want to breathe life into that growing pain or that celebration or that passion that you have. And I want to ignite it through stories. In order to do that, I'm going to have some conversations, some real good conversations to connect a story to somebody else's reality to inspire them. I'm going to have an impact on so many different lives. I'm a big fan in learning by listening to others. So let's get ready for an adventure full of different emotions that's going to be expressed from me to you to my guest. Are you ready to be inspired? Because I know that I am. This is something that I'm not giving up on. I'm going to do this. God, my lips are dry. I can see people on set. You have to have a lot of talent to be so excited about today's Inspired, because it's something that I hold dear to my heart because it's an issue that I've dealt with for many years. And I'm here today with a friend, my friend Sparkle. I'm so excited to have you. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to be talking about a lot of deep issues regarding have daddy issues. But before we get started, let me let people know a little bit about Sparkle. She is running for city council at large in Utica. She is a public advocate for the community, and she does amazing work in her community, which she's very proud of. And she's a mother of three beautiful children. So thank you so much, Sparkle, for being here and to be open and to be vulnerable and to talk about all of those things in regards to daddy issues. So thank you for coming.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy that you started this series called Inspired. The name alone has me motivated and wanting to be a part of it because I'm open to inspire anyone, any place, anytime. So thank you for providing a platform for us to meet, join, have a conversation, and hopefully touch other people's.
And that is the reason why I can clearly see you're running for a community, public advocate, because look, you're ready to inspire somebody no matter how you figure out that you want to touch somebody's life, if it's through this, platform or, at your community. So thank you. So let's get started.
Yes.
So what I wanted to know is a little bit of a background in regards to your father. What was your relationship with him?
Well, I didn't have a relationship with my dad. I met my father for the first time in 2010 October. I went to Nigeria, the country where he's from, to meet him. This is my biological father. I don't want it to get misconstrued like I never had a father. I actually did have a father. His name is Jacob Anthony, and he raised me. He was the husband of my mother, my late mother, Jacqueline Anthony, and he raised me up until to this day. I had a conversation with him earlier. He's doing well. So I consider him to be my father, but it's my biological father that started my issues and my issues within myself. So I feel like a lot of the times when we are struggling with ourselves is because we don't know our root. So because of my natural instinct of being curious and my curiosity, I used to look at encyclopedias and look at African little girls and the backgrounds of Africa and just stare at them for hours, really not knowing the connection. But it was when I was 18, it was revealed to me that my biological father is actually from Nigeria. So that explained a lot of, why I felt like I didn't belong in my family. Because, sometimes we can feel things spiritually, we can feel things emotionally. And we have a feeling, but we have no confirmation because we don't have the information to align the confirmation. So that was with my issue. I felt like I was missing. Something was missing from my soul. So after that was revealed to me, unfortunately, I went down a path, a spiral of self-destruction. I started to become very promiscuous. I started to hurt every man that I ever came through my path. And when I found out that my father was from Nigeria, I made it a thing to go after Nigerian men. So I had a target. I went after
Wow.
Nigerian men. I wanted them to fall in love with me, and I wanted to just hurt them the same way that my father hurted me. So when I found out about it, I went on and one of the Nigerian men that I was dating, because again, I was talking to Nigerian men, he actually sat me down, listened to my story, and helped me. So what he did was he used the address that my mother had from the last letter that my biological dad wrote my mother in 1984, and my mother gave me that letter with the address. I gave it to the guy I was dating at the time, and he used that address to give it to his mother, who was living in Nigeria, and his mother went to visit the address. And the person at the address told them that my dad was not there, but they knew how to find him. The following day, he called me. He was crying all over the phone, and I asked him if he knew a woman named Jacqueline. He said yes, and the rest was history. That was maybe I was about 19 years old. I'm 40 now. And then later on, we stayed in contact through email and writing each other letters just to get to know each other a little better. So finally, I came across some money, and I decided to use the money to go to Nigeria for 10 days. And that's what I did. And that's how I met my biological father in person. That has helped me to heal, because although he doesn't play a very active role in my life today, I'm hopeful for the future that he will. And I know a lot of that has to do with me being humble and being a little bit more loving and understanding. Because when I met him, I was happy, but then I started to give him a little bit of a pushback because I was full of resentment, hate, hurt, abandonment, and all other things like that. I was on a quest for
Mm-hmm.
myself, and I wanted to know the root of myself, along with prayer. I was at the point where people say when you see a shooting star, make a wish. I was at a point where I saw a shooting star. I made a wish that I would just want to meet my biological father. So I
Oh,
was
wow.
fasting. I was praying. I was putting on my vision board. I just want to meet my biological father. I kept on repeating it. I cried it, and eventually I did. So I feel like what we want out of the universe is possible. So a lot of us may not know who our father is, may not know who our mother is, but if you stay steadfast and envisioning it, keeping a positive attitude, asking the universe to gravitate gravitate those things towards you through meditation, fasting, and prayer, then I feel
Mhm.
like it's all possible.
There's so much that you just gave me and that I can relate to, but then I also have some questions around it because I never met my father to this day. I've never, well, he passed away, but I didn't never see him in a picture. I don't know what he looks like. I don't know anything about him. So I definitely can relate from that aspect. But that was really bold of you to really seek out and you found him. But was he searching for you throughout those years? Did he know
No,
about you?
no. To his understanding, he thought my mom had an abortion, so he doesn't have any other children. So at the time
Uh,
that when he found out about me, he was living like a hobo. He was desolate. He was away from the family. He was an alcoholic and a drug user and all the things that you can think about. But when he found out about my existence, and at the time of when I was 19, he stopped doing all those things and gave his life over to God. So he found his way back to Allah. And since then, he has been living his righteous, straight path because he thought my mom had an abortion. Because my mom said, if you leave, I'm going to abort this child. So he had no clue that I even existed. So he wasn't looking for me.
so after you connected with him, how often did he stay in contact with you?
We stayed in contact through writing letters and telephone calls. So telephone calls about maybe 15 years ago were very expensive trying to, do overseas. Now we have apps like WhatsApp, which make things a little bit more affordable. They're free. But at the time it was calling cards and writing letters and emails. So I had a lot of questions for him. So I don't think that the interest was mutual, but I kind of forced it because of my, like I explained earlier, just my natural curiosity. I have an inquisitive side. I'm very, very curious about things. I do my research, stalk it out, and I'm not laying down or sitting down until I get an answer that's good with me. And sometimes you can't receive an answer. Like in your case, you told me that your father passed away, and my condolences about that because searching for your root or trying to find out a part of who you are is a part of how you're going to get to where you need to be in the future. So,
You, you are telling the truth.
without that or being void of that, I don't even know what to say about that because I was fortunate in my circumstance to actually meet up with my dad. Although the relationship has not been a perfect one, but I was able to identify the man. I was able to identify him, look at him, ask him some questions about my root. So believe it or not, there's a lot of people like you who have never saw their father or mother, or don't even know where they belong. Perhaps maybe they were given up for adoption. And those special cases, I have a special place in my heart for people like that. Because honestly, without your root or without knowledge of your root or even a clue of your root, it makes your journey a little bit more
A lot
challenging.
more. A lot
A
more.
lot
I'm
more
going to tell you
challenging.
that there's this whole huge piece of me. I mean, I've gone to therapy and I've sorted through a lot of different things, and I don't allow, my past to dictate who I am today. But I will say for many, many years, I felt incomplete. Like I didn't feel whole. Like I knew that there was something that was missing. But I've also come to a place where I don't think I'm going to get those answers from my mother. So where I'm at with it right now is that I used to have a lot of pain towards her, like frustration and anger towards my mother. But I also know that she did what she knew and she did the best that she could do. And then on top of it, when you think about her story and her parents, she didn't know her father. So it was very easy to pass it on. But one thing that I can say is that I broke the generational bleeding. And my daughter right now, she can ask me for her father's social security number and I'm going to give it to her. So she clearly knows. But I will say, I want to bring it back to, that absence of not having him, or like your father, your biological father in your life. How much did it cause an impact on your life throughout the years? Because we're older now, so we could talk about it
Yes.
freely, and we're comfortable because we're good in our identity. But
Right.
how was it growing up, being a teenager
Well,
and then
it
having
was
your
a
children?
struggle.
Yeah.
It was a struggle. Let me tell you, it was a struggle. And honestly, it still is a struggle. I have days that are better than others. I've learned how to cope through therapy, yoga, deep breathing, meditation, all the tools that I might need, even walking, coloring, whatever. But there still are times that I may watch a movie. I may watch someone else's relationship with their father,
I
or
understand.
there may be underlying things that happen in my journey that triggers those emotions. So it's still a struggle because I feel like it has affected me in my childhood. It affected me in my teenage years and my womanhood. It even affects me today in my relationship with a man. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot stabilize. I still to this day do not stabilize a relationship with a man. It has caused psychological issues. It has caused abandonment issues. It has caused a whole bunch of issues that I'm not going to say that I'm going to blame anyone, but everyone is unique and different in how they respond to things. So how I may respond to an absence and someone else may respond to an absence may be two different things. But for me, it took a toll on me emotionally, psychologically, um, and
One thing,
perhaps even
one
physically.
yeah,
And
one
physically
thing.
by me being physically sick.
No, I listen. Everything that you just said, I'm gonna keep on saying it because I understand it. A movie can come on TV right now, and I can see this bond, and I'm like, I wish I would have had that. I wonder what it would have been like to say, "Daddy, I love you." I wonder what it would have been like to have a father treat me like a princess. Because some of the decisions that I made in my life, I guarantee you, is because as much as my mother loved me, she could have never been a father. She could have never been a man, no matter how much she tried to protect me. So therefore, when I grew up, I made poor decisions as far as choosing the right man because I didn't know what it was like. My mother she didn't even really have men around us. She dated, but they never stayed in her life. So I never had that opportunity to feel that, a man being in my presence to give me the idea of how I'm supposed to be uplifted like a princess. I'm blessed right now to have a husband that actually I watch him with my children and I know it's possible. So I want to bring it back to like the relationship part that you said. You know, I appreciate you being vulnerable and even talking about this aspect about how you dated men on purpose because of the hurt and pain, a Nigerian man because of the hurt and pain. When did you start to recognize that I can't hold on to what didn't happen to me, that I can focus now on how I can turn the wheel and make life different for yourself? Did that happen?
And that it was when my teenagers started to show leadership qualities that I started to shift my way of thinking, because them displaying leadership qualities helped me to gain my confidence. So I felt like I've succeeded in something. I've done something. So I may have not had a husband to be fulfillment towards me, or to even help me with a void of not having a man. But the young men that I was raising, the young men that I'm raising, started to show some leadership skills and leadership qualities that made me feel like there's hope after all. It started to make me feel like, there's a silver lining. And then also with my sons telling me, offering me dating advice. They saw the guys that I was dating, and even in regards to their dad, they're like, "Mom, you need to let that go. Perhaps mom, you need to spend some time alone. Perhaps mom, perhaps mom, perhaps mom." So I really value my sons' opinions. I don't look at them like children. I look at them as my soulmates. I feel like they have come to me. They were sent to me from the Creator. They were sent to me from the universe to help ground me, to help stabilize me, to help, equalize my mind and show me that although I didn't get it the traditional way, I got it a way that I gave birth to. So I feel like I almost created my leadership. I created the void that I was missing. I created the family that I was desiring. So it's not your traditional family with a mother and a father, but it's a traditional family that it's an untraditional family that I created, where the qualities of the mind and the soul were present that I know I couldn't get from any place else. I knew that these were divine interventions, my children. So I looked at it like that. So I feel like my children has changed my perspective on the whole world, as far as how I look at people and how I value people. So I think that we could say about 5 to 6 years ago is when I started to turn my life around, as well as my affinity for astrology, like the way that the time and place and where you are born can help you to figure out, and how you can play a role in society, and how others play a role with you too, depending on your. I'm just really into astrology. Like, it's really,
No,
really.
I love it. I honestly no, we can I wouldn't even mind, because where I'm at right now in my life, I'm at a place where I'm focusing on being more still and being more in the now and being more present, and not having my thoughts, because for years I used to think that my thoughts had to control me. Just because something is going on in my head, that doesn't mean that I got to follow it. So I'm at a place where I am just more in tune with myself and listening to myself a whole lot more. I recently started to get into chakra because I really need to keep things balanced, because the energy that I give off, I wanted to return back to me in a positive way. So, in regards to astrology, can we connect how you use this method to help you heal and to help things get more clearer for yourself?
Absolutely. So about 7 years ago, I started watching a YouTube series. It comes on, it's called Astrology for the Soul. It's a unique approach to astrology. Like, usually we'll read a horoscope in maybe the newspaper or on the app, but this astrology is a weekly Pele report. It gives you the week in advance about how the stars are aligned, the planets are aligned, and how it affects your zodiac sign and how things are going. So I started listening. At the beginning of it, the first 10 minutes, if you're not really into Pluto and Mars, you may not really know. But the second part of it, he breaks it down in layman's terms and easier terms to figure out, well, this is going to be a week of turbulence, or this is going to be a week of. So I started to get more into my personal sign, Aquarius, my moon sign, Virgo. We have different aspects of our signs. It's not just our sun sign, which is where we were born, where the sun was placed when we were born. There's also your emotional sign. There's also an ascending or rising sign. These signs are very, very symbolic depending on where we are in our journey. So today, for example, I have another app that I use based upon my birth chart. You use the time of your day you were born and how today can be successful for you, whether it's with work, whether it's with interacting with others. It helps you know who you're compatible with for that day. And I think that when you get to really look into who you are astrologically, it helps you to maintain or move forward in the world with others. It helps you to see your compatibility with others, what energies you can come close to and what energies you can, stay a little bit further away from or be diplomatic with. So I think it's really interesting. And then the most thing about astrology is that everyone's is unique. So the time and place that you were born and I were born are different. The time of day that you were born is different. And how the sun, moon, and stars were aligned at the time of our birth are different. And um, nothing beats nature. It's all natural. So how you naturally align with nature is something that we all should know. So when we talked about root earlier, that's how I get to my root. I look at myself astrologically speaking, and how I'm rooted where I am and how I'm rooted the time that I was born. Also, numerology surrounding our name. So all of our name has a meaning. And, some people can call you Letitia, right? Letitia. And some people could call me Sparkle. Sparkle. All right. But what does that really mean? What does that really mean in a number sense? What does that really mean in a science sense? How does that help you to know who you are as a person fulfilling your purpose? I feel like astrology and numerology helps us align align ourselves with that in the universe. It sounds easy, it's a little complex, but when you study it more and more and more, you get to see how it can serve you, just like the chakras. So the chakras, there's 7 main chakras, but there's an abundance of other chakras. But the 7 main chakras help us keep ourselves in alignment and straight and narrow from the top, from the crown to down to our feet, right? So from here to here, it helps us keep ourselves in alignment emotionally, right? Or spiritually. We take deep breaths to align our chakras so our emotional and we have a really good emotional well-being. So the same goes for astrology and numerology. All of these things are natural. It's all based upon nature. So even though you might not know who your biological parents are, but if you know who you are by getting to know who you are, it will align, everything will align itself. But we first have to master ourselves, and that's a challenge. We don't necessarily have to go outside of ourselves to look for any other energy, because it begins with ourselves. And like I was telling you about the law of attraction, attracting my father to me is because that's what I wanted passionately. That's what I was thinking about morning, noon, and night. That's what I made a vision board for. That was my vision. That's what I wanted. And because I was meditating, because I was fasting, because I was into myself, it came to me. It's really very simple. We make things challenging, but we don't have to. And I understand, because we have a lot of distractions around us, a lot of other energies feeding us things that are not natural. So we can be distracted and thrown off course like that. So it really, truly is a struggle to maintain discipline, maintain stability, and to be grounded.
I'm a fan in the universe, and I do believe that what I give to the universe, like I said, I'm going to get it back in return. But now I want to also ask you the word forgiveness, because it's a big word and it's hard. And I'm going to tell you right now, I forgave my mother for her not providing the information that I needed in order for me to feel complete, because I love that you said that you bring it back to yourself. I had to learn that self-love is a part of my healing process and is a part of the forgiveness. Now, and we still, you and I both agree that from time to time we can kind of go in and out of it, right? It'll still kind of bring us to those places. But because we know that you and I are going to try to inspire somebody out there, when you get to those places and that word forgiveness, does it allow you to have some open space about how you can look at the relationship?
Well, see, that's a very good point. And forgiveness, I feel like, also comes back to us. So we have to forgive ourselves for the way that we felt about another someone. Because in this life, we are all connected. We are all connected in some way, shape, or form. And that's the thing that we may not like. So if you have someone who's to the right of you or to the left of you is very annoying and obnoxious, you don't want to see any part of yourself connected to them. But guess what? There is. We're all pieces to a very large puzzle. And then they also say that in spirituality, there's many paths and one destination. I really agree with that. So forgiveness is also an inside job. We will have to forgive ourselves for the things that we say to ourselves that no one else hears. We have to forgive ourselves for the way that we felt about someone else when no one else heard. we have to forgive ourselves for the things that we said to someone else that no one else heard. So it's a game that we all play. You know, we say things, we do things premeditated. No one else has a backseat to our mind unless we open up and share. Even when we open up and share, sometimes we are discreet about the things we say. It doesn't matter who we're talking to. Some of us don't let anything out, and some of us let everything out. But the forgiveness part comes right back with us. Do I forgive myself 20 years ago when I made some mistakes? Do I forgive myself 15 years ago when I was promiscuous and I was reaching out to anyone who I can just to make them hurt and toxic? So forgiveness, when we struggle with forgiveness, is only we're struggling inside. Something inside is struggling to forgive ourselves. So if we haven't completely forgiven ourselves in every aspect of our journey, it would be almost impossible to come outside to forgive someone else. So again, self-love may seem so cliche. Oh, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. But what does that really look like? Does that look like hugging yourself? I feel like, to me, loving yourself means being transparent with yourself, acknowledging what you see in the mirror. I don't believe in good and bad. I just don't. I believe in polarity. I believe in contrast. I believe in, that there's a yin to a yang, there's a up to a down. But I don't necessarily think that is good or bad. I think that there's a polar opposite to every single thing. And in order for us to be balanced within ourselves, we have to look within ourselves no matter what it is and accept it for what it is. And if we do not like what we are seeing within ourselves, we have to take the baby steps that we can to rectify that, to make it into something that we do like seeing, something desirable within ourselves, something favorable within ourselves.
You're giving me so much. I really feel like the piece where you said that we're all connected, you don't know, I'm about to use that as like my motto, because I do agree with you 100%. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do Inspired, because I do feel like we're all connected. Imagine if we can see it from that perspective, the world would be just a better place. But we got to get people coming along where we're at, because that's the reason why we're doing Inspired. But
patience.
It starts here though, right? Because it's going to be that one person that I guarantee you they're going to feel the connection. So I appreciate this. I wanted to ask you as far as life choices along the way too, right? So I love the way that you broke down forgiveness, because you brought it back to yourself. If I can just get people to see that, because if you're not ready to forgive anybody until you can kind of look within. So I agree with you 100%. But now, because again, we're speaking the truth, and I know that there are people who are currently in it right this second. How do you deal with just life circumstances while you're in it, right? Like, how do you deal with the mix of emotions? Like, how long? Because this is a question that I ask myself. I say to Letitia, how long are you going to be in that thought? How long are you going to allow yourself to be there? So as the years has gone on, and let me know if you're there, like, you know now how to not allow it to overtake you, that your life can't be the way that you want it to be prior to your thoughts running and racing about the situation. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I think that it begins with the breath. I think that when we get overwhelmed with whatever's going on in our lives, because there's times that we don't want to be around anyone, and there's times that we want to be around everyone, and there's times that we just want to be around a selected few people, places, and things. With that, I think that it takes our breath. Like right now, we're talking, we can stop and take a deep breath. And I suggest 3 consecutive breaths. It would be like coming, like if you're facing a nightmare, if you're facing something so traumatic, you take a deep breath, then you get back your control. It starts with self-control and self-respect. Sometimes we lose it. We feel like someone disrespected us. Oh no, they just disrespected me. Actually, no one can disrespect you because you have control over you. They disrespect themselves. So if they're displaying something towards you that has absolutely nothing to do with you, then that's sending you a message that they don't have any self-respect. So if someone doesn't respect themselves, again, it is impossible for them to respect you. So we sometimes we expect a lot from people outside of us. we expect a lot. And I feel like expectations are the number one heartbreaker that we can ever have in this world. Because we, at the end of the day, we love people, people love us, but the only person that we have full control over is ourselves. So when we're overwhelmed, overworked, or we feel like we're about to lose control and even die, you have to stop where you are and take a deep, deep, deep breath. And when you're feeling lightheaded, that's when you know you're breathing deep enough that you can take a break, let it go, and start again. When I say let it go, not what just happened to you. Let your breath go. Let some oxygen reach your brain. Let you be renewed in that moment. And then get centered and grounded and come back to yourself. So you can have self control, self discipline. No one else can control that. There could be so much chaos going on around you, but just because you stopped and took that deep breath, you became one with yourself. So now you have yourself back. Now you have control. That's how I deal with being overwhelmed. I take a deep breath. I stop where I am. If you have water, drink water, because our body is 85% water. Breath. We're water and we're breath. We're elements of nature. If you can, listen to some nature sounds on YouTube, some different frequencies, some calming sounds. Because the older we get and the more things happen to us in life, the harder the more challenging it is to get by life. And that's why we see a lot of people don't really lose their mind until they get older. Because we're children, we don't have really that much to think about. You know, someone else is doing the thinking for us. Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. But I feel like the long or the short of it is just taking a deep breath. Stop right where you are and then you can feel the stability. And the breath has to have a purpose. And the breath has to be a conscious breath, meaning that you are consciously doing that because you're trying to get to your subconscious mind. That's what we really need to be focused on. A lot of us are just, oh, you're conscious, you're woke. That's fine. That means you're aware of what's going on now. So the subconscious is what's lying underneath that really doesn't get the entertainment and treatment that it deserves. So even if we create a vision board or if we have some music playing in the background, that's subconscious mind. It's like when somebody's being subliminally programmed, it's something underneath that's being done that we can't see. But the surface that we can see is like okay, so let me exchange that. So the surface that we can see is easier. I'm conscious, I'm aware of what I can see. But the things that we don't see and the things that are not being entertained is what we really need to practice, put into practice to feed our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind would take precedence one fateful day and override all of the things that have been plaguing us for years. It's a process, and we have to be committed to it.
I want to tell you right now, like you're giving me chills, number one, and if I'm worried about somebody being inspired, I'm going to tell you right now, don't even worry no more because you are literally inspiring me. Like when I listened to this message again, there was a lot of things in there that you said that I'm definitely going to incorporate because I've been really focused on like meditation lately. And I love the part where you said around the breathing and if you notice the lightness versus the heaviness, understanding how, and that is so big because, sometimes you don't even recognize that your subconscious is working harder than your conscious. Yes. And I'm so happy that you said that out loud because I had to master that in the last couple of years of my life. I literally had to master that. There are, it's like so many different questions going on in my head right now based off of that one, this, what you just said to me. But you know what I do want to ask you about? Mental health as far as seeking therapy. So you mentioned to me the, ways you can, focus on your mind and, the energy of the universe and the chakra and the astrology. How do you feel about seeking mental health assistance?
Very good. I feel like it's not for everyone. Some people are not going to be as vulnerable and outspoken as you and I. Some people may never arrive to this point in our life. We're fortunate, Letitia. We're very fortunate to actually be talking like this, speaking. There's a certain freedom in that. There's a mental freedom in that. So a lot of us are still in mental bondage. So talking to another individual may not be the result for someone else, but there are other options on how to cope. And we spoke about some of those options. maybe taking a walk through nature, maybe finding a hobby. That's why a lot of people, believe it or not, have hobbies and addictions towards things. Some people say, oh, gambling can be an addiction, and or, people find substance abuse. These are all ways to cope. Now, if you want a healthy way to cope, a healthy way to cope is talking to someone like we're talking now, creating, maybe coloring, a coloring book, or doing a crossword search, something that occupies your mind in a healthy way so you're not harming yourself. Obviously, food or the wrong foods can harm us. Gambling too much can harm us. Alcohol and drugs can harm our body. We don't want to harm our body, we want to heal our body. So, talking to a licensed professional may not work for some people, but I do encourage someone to talk to someone, even if it's yourself. Start with the man in the mirror. Say one word a day. Say I. Make it one word a week. Look in the mirror. Look at yourself. If you're not ready to look at yourself, that's fine. Say I. Let that vibration. When they say the spoken word is your tongue. The words that come out of your mouth are very powerful. I, one day for 1 week, say it every day. Just stop at I. If you're feeling more confident, I will. I will. And then every day you add a word. I will heal. I will heal. I feel like just take baby steps, but you have to acknowledge the fact that you're in a place that is not helping you grow. Once you realize that you're not in that place for helping you grow, then you take baby steps to come out of there. And one day you may want to speak to someone, and it may not be today. So one day you can say, one day you can say, I will talk to someone about my life. It may not be not now. It may be over time. And some people just can't trust other people because they feel like the stuff that they have inside of them, no one else will understand, maybe. Or maybe the therapist that they've been talking to is not a good fit. Maybe they don't really get it. Maybe they're not really listening, because quite frankly, a lot of the paid professionals, they only give us 45 minutes. And how could you really open up or gain trust to someone in 45 minutes? Over time, sometimes you feel like the sessions are rushed. It's really, really, really difficult to find a really good person to talk to. And because the person has to be consistent, the person has to be understanding, the person has to be empathetic. So it's almost impossible to find. And then a lot of people just don't trust anyone. So I feel like, again, you might get to the point where you want to talk to someone, but before then, work on self trust, work on telling yourself to trust. The thing, yourself knows what happened to you most. So talk to yourself about it, even if it's secretly, because your heart and your mind are connected and is listening to one another. So I just say, be patient with yourself, be gentle with yourself, and then eventually things will start to be looking good for you. But it's a process, and please just be patient and trust yourself.
So for so many years, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is touching what you just said. I didn't even think that I had an issue, and especially when my father passed away when my mother was pregnant with me. So there was no connection in any shape or form. So when people would say to me, "So maybe the reason why this is happening in your life is because you didn't have a father," and my natural response was, "How can I be mad at something I never met or I never knew? I'm not lacking it. I'm not missing it. So it's not a big deal." It wasn't into my late 30s when I started to self-reflect and I said to myself, oh my gosh, it is true. There was an impact on my life because of that absence. So I'm saying all of this because sometimes people, and I love the fact that you kept on repeating right now that you have to say I, and bring it back to self, because I didn't even connect the dots. And when I began to realize that, the reason why I'm making certain decisions is because I need to look within myself, I started to be more vulnerable about the problems that I was having. And I think it's big because you mentioned maybe sometimes people don't want to talk to someone, but the first step is to begin with the I. But I believe like once you start to recognize and see how it's impacting your life, speaking it out loud and being vulnerable and speaking your truth, it is so important because that begins the healing process. And you don't even have to do it for anybody. Sometimes I always tell people you can forgive people internally. You don't have to literally tell somebody, I'm sorry, in order to forgive them. When you are at a place that you can forgive somebody without saying the words or waiting for the words to someone to tell you, I'm sorry, that means that you're ready to heal and you're ready to see things for what it is. I appreciate you saying that so much, because self-love always, to me, is always going to be that answer as far as how do I begin that healing process. You got to really say out loud some of the issues that you're having and be okay with it. You know, another thing too is going back to like how we are all connected. Listen, even though you and I, we are unique, but I guarantee you similar stories across the world is happening, and you're not in this alone. And the best thing to do in order for you to begin to heal is to speak it out loud. Talk therapy can come in so many different forms, like what you just said, even the way that we're doing it, but speaking it out loud. And don't be, oh, I have to say this because I know you're going to relate to this one too. You don't have to be so strong all the time. You don't have to feel like I got this. You don't have to feel that, you know, yeah, that happened to me, but I'm gonna still move. No, drop that wall. Speak your truth. Say out loud. You're gonna feel so much better. The fact that I can even have this conversation, knowing that I'm gonna post this on YouTube to tell people about my private, is, you know why? Because I'm at a good place. I'm at a settled place in my life, and I'm okay with things that I had to go through. So that is so, you know, it's self-soothing to me to know that there's somebody else out there that understands that me speaking out loud and me being vulnerable is going to allow me to begin to heal. So hopefully somebody heard that message just now and realized that you may not get those answers from your father, but what you can do is start to get some answers within yourself.
Yes. And then that's what start happening. You start meeting people like us. You'll start all of a sudden you're going someplace in a public place, and then you meet in like-minded people. Because that's what happens. When you're sitting still, like my pinnacle moment of peace happened when I was in a park in Astoria, Queens, about, I'm gonna say, like 9 years ago. I'm sitting in the park, my children are playing, the sun was beaming on me. I was sitting in a legs folded position, and I just was meditating, and I saw a whole bunch of light just up and down from my body, started coming out of my head, coming out of my sitting bones on my bottom. And I felt, because I was sitting on the grass, and I felt like opening my eyes, but I couldn't. I wasn't crying. I wasn't anything. I just felt like that was my pinnacle moment. That's when the Kundalini chakras opened all the way up, and I was all the way connected. So I feel like with practice and with good faith and good intention in our heart and mind,
Yes,
things will open up for us naturally. We must be in tune. We must be in tune with the universe, in tune with nature. I started hugging trees. I started feeling the grass and things like that. The water flow, go anywhere near a body of water and just watch the water flow. I used to watch the sunset and the sun. Actually, I used to watch the sunset. I just saw the sunrise about a year ago. My friend took me to see sunrise. I've always been watching sunsets. And when I started to watch the sunrise, another turning point in my journey. So this was like maybe less than a year ago. I watched the sunrise for the first time in my life. I was always used to the sun setting. I was always used to things going down, always things ending, which is still good. But there's also a polar to that, which is actually watching the sunrise.
I can't stop feeling inspired. Now you're making me want to go to Long Beach tomorrow and watch the sunrise come up. I love that connection, right? It is true.
Yes.
How often do I watch the sunset and how often do I watch the sunrise? Probably barely none because I'm sleeping. Wow. That's that. I love that. I love that. It's so funny because I had a similar revelation to your, sitting at the park bench. I remember one day I went to go visit my mother a couple of years ago, and I was sitting there and I was talking to her, and we were talking about cooking or something like that, just a regular conversation. Sparkle, for some reason, at that time, I was sitting on the couch, but I saw my body. I know this might sound crazy, but I saw my body get up and walk away. And that person who walked away was the person who was dealing with a lot of pain, who was dealing with a lot of hurt, who was dealing with a lot of resentment, who was dealing with bitterness. And I wanted her to walk away, and I wanted to take in this new person who I am and who I am becoming. Because life for me, and I want you to talk on this one too and tell me your true thoughts, because now I'm at a place where I remember for years I was seeking happiness. Like, once I get this job, I'm going to be happy, or once I get this house, I'm going to be happy. And then I started realizing, after one situation, another situation occurs. After another situation occurs. I started realizing I am no longer seeking happiness. I know happy moments will happen, yes, but I am seeking continuously peace. That's why the other day I said, just know I'm at peace. Like, I'm not, I know what should get me revved up, and that's little to none, right? Because I've been at a place in my life where it was hectic. And now I'm really that girl who I saw walk away. I'm searching nothing but peace, because I feel like what you said, like when I pinch my skin, I sit there and I look at my skin rise and drop back down, and I'm in that moment. Like, I'm at a place where I love when you said like the waterfalls. Like right now, I can sit and actually listen to like waterfalls and just
Yes.
be and like literally be still and be quiet and not needing anybody to talk to, could be in the room. That has allowed me to heal and accept life for its precious, because its life is so precious. And we don't, and I know we've heard that comment before, take every day as though it's your last. But for me right now, being more in the moment and being more at peace has allowed me to heal in regards to daddy issues, a lot of different issues in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Being more centered and being at peace. So I say all of this because, do you think that there's a difference between peace and happiness?
Oh, that's a very good question. I feel like they're closely related. I feel like peace is a place where you can be comfortable wherever you are, no matter where you are, and you are happy with yourself. So again, that peace, right back to yourself. So happiness, I feel like is more than a mood. I feel like happiness is um, your way of thinking. Like so, you can be sad but have a happy heart, or that's how I think that I am. Like I can be depressed, but the root of me is happiness. So happiness, I also feel like, is the universe or nature or God, because no one can take that away from you. It's connected with joy and grace and sovereignty and inheritance. So I feel like happiness has to do with your spirit, and peace has to do with your mind, maybe, because peace comes from, is your mind. Are you at peace with your mind? Because heaven and hell is in your mind too. So if you are struggling, or if you're unhappy, is because you're not at peace. You are something is resisting that peace to come. And peace doesn't go anywhere. Once you have attained it, it doesn't leave you. So that's why I feel like happiness and peace are closely related. So there are some times that, there's going to be days that are unfavorable, but I feel like that happiness and that peace cannot be taken away from you, cannot be stolen, because once it's acquired, once it's given to you, once it's ordained for you, then nothing can happen from that. But to boost our mood up, I would suggest, how you hear people say, I can't help nothing, I can't help that, I can't do that. If I can't do for myself, I'm not doing for others. So my journey has taught me that that's not all completely true, because whenever I'm feeling not so great and not not so stable, I go help someone else. So even when I don't have any money, even when I don't have the things that I think that I need to, or desire to be sparkle, I go help someone at a soup kitchen. I go help someone who's elderly. I go help a child. I make myself present to help someone. And the next day or later on that day, my mood is boosted. It hurts me sometimes to help someone because I know I don't have it. But what I've learned, Letitia, is that when I've helped someone, I'll be a witness that me helping has helped me to heal, has helped me to see things in a different light. Because once you help someone else, you'll realize that you're not the only one suffering, and then there's someone else suffering more than you. And I feel like the person that you're helping, being all connected, you're helping yourself too. You're not staying in it. So, okay, I don't have any money. So let me go give the bottles that I've been collecting for 5 cents and give it to someone who really doesn't have any money. Because I do have money. You know, I don't help in someone else when you're not feeling like yourself. Even though you feel like you're about to die. I had issues with my health. I had issues where I felt like I was gonna die. Literally, I have blood clots. I have kidney issues, and I see myself helping people, and I don't even worry about my blood clots. The next thing I know, they're telling me that there's not even a blood clot in my lung because I started to put me in a even playing field with other people because there's people that didn't wake up at all. There's people that wish they had blood clots just to be able to be alive. You know, it's just one of those things that I feel like there is power in helping someone else. It doesn't have to be someone who's less fortunate. It just to be help someone else that you know that you can help lift them up to where you are.
You know, where I'm at in my life, that's another thing too. So I worked in corporate America for many, many years, and I did that facade. And you know, where I'm at with myself is I want to give back. Like, I feel like doing things like this is my purpose. Like, I feel that my calling in life is to impact somebody else's life, to see things differently. And especially, I struggled for many years. My mother had mental health issues. I didn't know who I was. I didn't love myself. I had suicidal thoughts. The list can go on and on and on. I had the daddy issues. I had abandonment issues. And to see where I'm at right now, I'm proud of myself. Like, I love being me. Like, I enjoy this. I enjoy this new chapter in my life. And I appreciate you even saying things such as, when you do for others, it comes back in a different form for yourself. I think that's so big. You know, I have to say this because I wrote a journal recently, and I'm going to put it out there. And it's called it's called Don't Mind Me. And the journal is literally summing up what we just kind of discussed. You probably said it even better. I'm asking you, I think you need to be a spokesperson for me because you did such a wonderful job. Because in the book, I talk about self-love, the power of the now. I focus a lot on as well, not worrying about what people think of you, being in your truth and living the best life that you're supposed to have. Because that right there, you know, I'm gonna connect it because the reason why I called the book Don't Mind Me, because the mind, right? Like, so don't mind me. I'm getting my life situations together because I've recognized in life that after I sort out one situation, I gotta sort out another situation. So I'm also at a place where, you know what I read in this book one time, that people who really enjoy life, they understand that there are going to be situations that happen, but it's not going to break them. It's okay to be in those moments, but when you can understand the situation, like taking yourself out of it, it allows you to get through whatever you're dealing with much stronger and more effective. So I think, you know, I'm saying all of this because, you know, understanding how it all connects with each other is really important. But do you recognize that there is nothing but life situations that we will continuously, because even though we sorted out our daddy issues, you know, it's always something. Rather I'm worried about my child, rather I'm worried about, I don't know, how is the next mortgage payment going to happen? Or there's always something. But you see, I love the fact that we can talk about this conversation, but we got smiles on our faces because we understand how life kind of, you know, brings situations to us.
Life punches us right square in the grill. It's true. It's very true, Leticia. There's always something. There's always something. And, you know, the cliche, that's life, is a part of life. And I think that that's life, is a part of life, has a lot to do with our attitude while we're living life, right? So I was talking to someone else about that earlier today. Life is hard. The person was telling me life is just hard. You're absolutely right. Life is hard. Life is a challenge. But our worrying or our attitude about life kind of gets a little bit more simpler for us if we remember that some things we cannot control. And the things that we cannot control, we need to release them and take back to the breaths. Take deep breaths, meditate, and pray. Listen to our favorite music, watch our favorite movie, read our favorite book, do our favorite thing, a hobby, an interest, something that takes our mind away. Like you said, the now, we have to really, really, really focus on that now. And things are going to work themselves out if we maintain that optimistic, positive attitude, which is a challenge to do when so many things are happening and you're losing people in your life, or financial restraints, or people are not being upright, or your coworkers are not cooperating, or things are just not being favorable for you. I feel like are lessons to help us gain experience in order to help us have some wisdom, so therefore we can pass on the knowledge that when someone else is struggling and struggling with something that we've already overcame, that we can help them navigate through it. I feel like, Letitia, you're a leader. I feel like you offering a platform like this is displaying your leadership skills. You know, otherwise you would be someplace else. I feel like this is giving back. You offering a platform is the ultimate way of giving back, because the voice of the voiceless shall speak. A lot of us have been marginalized. A lot of us have been silenced. A lot of us, when we were younger, was told to shut up and sit down. And here you are offering a platform to speak up and speak out about anything that might be plaguing us, or anything that we want to feel like we're talking about. We start off at daddy issues. We went to spirituality. We went to problems. We went to life issues. So I feel like with a platform, and with the as we get older, as we grow, as life experiences happen to us, the harder the challenge and we overcome it, that's a victory. That's a victory for experience. That's an experience that we can use. That's knowledge that we can help to pass on. So I feel like all of the challenges that we have, and we be like, why me? I think we need to start saying, why not me? And how can I utilize this experience to help someone else overcome their life hurdle? So as a leader, when things happen to us that are real heavy, really controversial, or just feel like they're really going to take us out of here, and we live through it, I feel like it's just for us to reach out to someone else and help someone else navigate their way through it so they don't die going through it.
Yeah, I got this favorite phrase that I always tell myself when I start hearing, myself say things that I'm not supposed to be saying in my head. I start to tell myself, well, what if, or even if. I try to look at, I'm quick to literally tell myself, how do I change the narrative? How do I change the story? Because sometimes what we tell ourselves, like, you can really be hard on yourself if you don't hear yourself. I always tell people all the time, and I say this because when people listen to this one little quick story that I'm going to tell you, it makes you look at life differently. It's just ironic how you could see a stranger walking down the street talking to themselves. You would probably start saying, like, whoa, like this person is crazy, right? But all day long, we sit here and we start talking to ourselves, and people don't recognize that you can actually control what's going on in your head, but you're not crazy because you're not sitting there. And I don't want to use the word crazy, but you understand what I mean, right? So, like, we have to recognize that we got to hear what's going on up in there. Like, sometimes, and that's why I love the fact that we said to talk it out loud. Don't keep it up in there. Sometimes if you keep things up in there, who are you talking to? You're going to get the same answers, right? So it's one thing to acknowledge, but then speak it out loud. And if you got to talk to however that forum looks like, I think we should do. Um, I have to ask, right? So overall, if you had to share one message with somebody that is listening to you right now, as far as inspiring them about daddy issues, just some life issues, what would be some things you would want to tell that person?
I would tell that person to, think about what they value. Think about something that they care about that no one else cares about, and hold on to that for dear life. Hold on to it in your mind, hold on to it in your heart, and work towards bettering that. Whether it's a pet, a person, a place, a thing, no matter what it is, something that you value. Now, if there's nothing that you value, then that's a different conversation, because some of us are a little bit more disturbed than others. Life, unfortunately, sometimes can break our heart so bad that we're at a point of no return. And I feel like those people also have their place, because we can use those people as a reference and say, okay, I'm not that person, so is room for improvement. I would just say hold on something, no matter what it is, a person, a place, a thing, something you make up. Create your own thing that you hold on for dear life. Because frankly, if you want to live, you can live. If you don't want to live, you don't want to live. It's really just that simple. I feel like our fate is just a decision away. I feel like it's just that powerful. Just hold on to something, no matter what it is, for dear life. Even if it's this conversation, hold on to this conversation for dear life and allow it to grow within you. You know, allow it to grow. What I held on for dear life was my children, and I wanted to make sure that their life was set. I didn't want them to struggle like me. There's some people that hold on to pets for dear life because for some reason they don't have children, and there's some people that hold on to places for dear life and things for dear life. No matter what you hold on to, something that gives you a good feeling, something that gives you a positive feeling. Hold on to that person, place, or thing, or thought, or pet, as if your life depended on it.